when Alessandro did his first show, comments were even worse. So this is good. Oh yeah, I've made a video about that years ago when his first collection was at Gucci. Obviously, because it was so different to like Tom Ford and like Frida Giannini. Obviously, because she was working with Tom Ford before he left. There's remnants of like Tom Ford in her work, not just Frida Giannini, but all the other designers she was with, because at first it was like 3 different designers, then eventually just became Frida. So people are just used to that aesthetic. So Alessandro Michele's aesthetic was like androgynous and like looked like vintage vibes and all this stuff. And they're like, it just looks like the kind of stuff that you can buy in the thrift store around the corner. That's what a journalist was saying. So I guess in a way, maybe it is a good sign. I mean, a lot of designers have had really negative things said when they first show. I mean, think of McQueen. People used to say McQueen was all sorts of things when he first started designing. So I think, yeah, maybe it is a good sign. Maybe.
Yeah, pagan, devil worshipper, amongst other things. You know what I'm saying? Misogynist. I remember when they used to call him a misogynist.
Yeah.
That's interesting. The way people are remembered after their tenure has to be studied, man. It really has to be studied.
But you know, most people forget like the nuance. So I feel like when we look back at Demna's tenure at Balenciaga, I think most of it will be positive. We'll think about the trends, we'll think about normcore, we'll think about the marketing genius, we'll think about how he was really using old Balenciaga codes, but modernizing them in a really cool way, especially when it came to, you know, the likes of cocoon shapes, but in a Parker jacket or all these kind of things. I also think his first couture show is really cool. I also like that he brought back couture for Balenciaga after so many years. So he's done so many like iconic things at Balenciaga for sure. If you think about from a branding perspective, a product perspective, how many things flew off the shelves? Like whether we're talking about, do you remember when everyone was wearing the Balenciaga Crocs?
Yeah.
I feel like Balenciaga made Crocs a trend.
Yeah, they definitely participated heavily in the popularization of Crocs, and they were epitomized what lifestyle branding could be, because so many people were not dressing in the way that Balenciaga aided in creating, right? And along with so many other of his peers, he was able to redefine the way a generation of not just the youth, but older people like to dress. And in part, even the way that we dress today is, you know, thanks to Demna. And there's a lot of qualities that he added to the fashion like lexicon that, you know, people aren't necessarily gonna say is him, but you know, it was.
Yeah.
And like your earlier point, which is like, I feel like one of the more important points today is that his footwear was astounding, right? And if he can continue that, like, you know, trend of having great footwear, he can participate in the long and rich history of what Gucci does.
100%. Someone said people are crashing out in the r/Balenciaga thread. So let me put that on the screen and we see what these guys are talking about. This might be hilarious. Okay, let's see. Let's see what guys are saying. I hate that he's leaving Balenciaga. His tenure is forever ingrained in their legacy now. This is incredibly upsetting. Who the fuck is going to take over Balenciaga? Oh, wow. These guys are really attached to the brand. Balenciaga's dead now. Only Demna era Balenci will be deemed as cool. Okay, bro. Did these people just learn about fashion last week? Only Demna era Balenciaga is cool. Does Nicolas Gasquier not exist?
Can we pause? If you were 14 and Demna, and it's 2015, Demna and the Triple S came out and everybody was wearing it, Demna is the coolest designer to you. Outside
Bruh, this person literally said only Demna's era Balenci will be deemed as cool. What? Bruh, that's crazy. That is that's one of the wildest takes I've ever heard in my entire life. Well, read in this case. That's insane.
I understand it though. Let me put it that way.
But it's like, so for example, like maybe it's like a youth thing. Maybe it's just what younger people do now. If I don't know much about the history of something, I'm not going to say something with that much authority. Like for example, let's say like, I'm trying to think of something that I'm into, but like quite a beginner. Let's say like motorcycling. I'm into it, but I'm quite a beginner. I'm not going to speak on authority and say that this motorbike is the best era, not knowing any of the history of like motorcycles from like how long and like how the engineering has changed over the years. That's basically what they're doing. But that's the kind of takes you need for the hot takes live stream. That's
someone said, imagine it's Gurun.
What, taking over? Oh my god!
To be honest.
Oh, what is this? Whoa! What have you guys got to be into? Someone really said, "What if it's Guram?" And then someone else said, "It makes sense to be honest." Guram taking over Balenciaga. Oh yeah, they're definitely
Leave
in
Demna
like
will leave Balenciaga.
they're in a phrase of brain rot. That's what I'm gonna call it. Yeah, what did
And
you get
to
me into?
revive it. Yeah, I see this. I see this. These are invisible faces, but I understand the youth and millennials thinking this way. Definitely do.
Yeah, they said I knew Gucci wasn't performing, or they had to call in the goat to revive it. Hey, everyone's entitled to have their goats. I'm not mad at that.
Listen,
Let's see. I
the-
got to Balenciaga, RIP. Let's hope Balenciaga gets someone as creative as him. Someone said Martine Rose. Interesting.
that's interesting.
Someone said everyone has been saying Martine Rose. I'd love to see her or Raf Simons take over. Prada's a bigger brand than Balenciaga. Designers don't take steps back. A lot of people don't understand that. Designers don't do that most times. They don't like taking steps back. So like going from Prada to Balenciaga is actually like a very monumental downgrade. Like your
Some
budgets are lower, your atelier is smaller. Like that's a big downgrade. Just saying. So Raf would never go from Prada to Balenciaga unless like he was fired or something. That's the only reason why. But he wouldn't like willingly be at Prada and then go to Balenciaga.
Look, someone had your take. Why do I hate this so much? For Gucci, but aside Gaskia era Balenciaga, Demna was my favorite.
Yeah, at least these people, some of the kids know about Nicolas Gasquier. That's crazy though. Someone literally said that Demna's era of Balenciaga is the only,
It's the coolest. I think they said
is
what
the
we.
coolest
Yeah.
era. That's insane.
He
That's
transformed men in tons of ways. They're not half wrong. A lot of them are hyperbolic, but they're not half wrong.
yeah.
Gucci will be another Balenciaga. I wonder why people think that. Why do you think people think that Gucci will become another Balenciaga?
I don't because I just don't think they're gonna allow him to just do the same meme stuff at Gucci. It's just gonna be. I feel like people are just gonna get so bored so fast. People are gonna here we go again. I feel like that will be the response if he does that.
Yeah, like I have this like suspecting feeling he will leave that at Balenciaga.
Yeah.
That's like, who's a good comparison? I really want to have a good comparison. Like Daniel Lee Bottega versus Daniel Lee Burberry. It's not really a 1-to-1, but his Bottega wasn't the same as his Burberry. He used a lot of futurism in his Bottega, whereas in Burberry he does something totally different, which is like massively traditional.
Yeah,
So
what
it's
he's
like,
doing at Burberry is very much like taking the traditions of Burberry and then trying to
yeah,
modernize it. So he takes things like and I'm sure he looks at like the archive where they store these kind of things. So he'll look at like an old hunting jacket and then try to modernize it and do different details and stuff, or like hunting gear, hunting culture, stuff like that. Those are some of the inspirations I've seen across a lot of his like collections at Burberry. So it's cool, but it's completely different to what he was doing at Bottega. So that's what
yeah.
I'm saying. Like a lot of designers, even when we don't expect it, do have an ability to do a completely different aesthetic and it still works.
Yeah, I think it would be silly to say that we're gonna see a Gucci IKEA bag. That would be wild. If we do, I don't know why. I would actually take back my words. I'll apologize on live. But
Right.
yeah, no, like I don't see that happening.
Someone is saying Balenciaga won't ever be the same. Someone said chat, we're done. I'm very excited for Gucci and very nervous for Balenciaga. It will take a lot of work to get me to ever care about the Gucci brand, but they've certainly got my eye now. And I guess that's part of the reason why they're hiring him, because Demna has such a cult following. And just like this person said, it'll take a lot of work to get them to care about Gucci, but they're definitely keeping their eye on Gucci now, whereas they didn't before.
Yeah, these are Balenciaga fans. I can see that.
No, oh, no. But we're in the r/Balenciaga Reddit page. Of course, the Balenciaga.
No,
Someone said, this is like my father leaving me.
so they love Balenciaga like to the death.
They condemn the Balenciaga with their dad leaving them.
Someone said, hopefully they bring someone good to Balenciaga. John Galliano's perfect for their couture, in my opinion. Just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean he's perfect for the couture, but like John Galliano is a legend, but John Galliano, a lot of stuff that he makes does not sell. So for as sensational of a designer that he is, he's not going to do what Demna did. He's not going to make close to as much money as Demna made up, because he's not going to make that many desirable products that people can wear. He'll just make like the most sensational couture collections you've ever seen in your life, and it will be a show of like how skilled he is and that he's just a way better designer than most designers designing right now. But in terms of like selling, no.
Kim Jones for Balenciaga is wild, Duke. That is wild.
I have heard it. On Twitter, I saw a lot of people saying that Kim Jones could be an option for Balenciaga. I'm like,
Wait,
nah.
you think LVMH is gonna let Kim Jones
Nah.
leave?
First of all, he probably has a non-compete baked into his thing right now. How long
Fam,
it's on for, who knows? But no, he's just not going to.
that would be so interesting. The way that like that is what's it called? LVMH is like that's their child. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
he really was that person for them.
Yeah. Will the Balenci footwear designer follow Demna to Gucci is the real question. Yeah. Earlier on in the stream, I was like, if they know what's good for them, they just pay the footwear designer and bring them to the bigger team, bring them to the Gucci team. And whoever is working at Gucci, I'm sorry, but you might have to get displaced by the head of footwear at Balenciaga because they clearly know what they're doing more so than the people at Gucci for sure when it comes to the footwear.
What is Pharrell doing?
Like Cam says, I think it'll be a shock new designer that they'll put loads of money behind into doing the craziest shows, or just another career designer, previously head designer at a top brand. Yeah. It's kind of, doesn't it seem like there's a lack of like, because the Demna era was when people had their own brands and they were using their own brands as a stepping stone to be creative directors of brands. So they were so proven because they were proven that they could sell, they were proven that they could manage, run their own companies. In Demna's case, it was Vetements, then he went to Balenciaga. In Virgil Abloh's case, it was Off-White, then he went to Louis Vuitton. And nowadays, you just have like, you know, it's back to the era before where it was designers who had just been working at a brand like Alessandro Michele, who had been within the Gucci team for years before he became the creative director. So it's interesting. It's like how these eras are changing back.
And Blaze, yeah.
Yeah, Matteo Blasi, same thing. Matteo Blasi was grinding. Obviously, he was at Margiela and stuff, and then he worked at Ras Simmons loads of times. Like Ras Simmons' eponymous label, he worked with Ras Simmons, Calvin Klein. That man was grafting before he finally became CD at Bottega. Even at Bottega, he was working under Daniel Lee. He was like design director, and Daniel Lee was creative director until he was finally. So Matteo Blasi deserves everything he gets. That man was working hard. He was working so hard. Like, yeah, he deserves everything he's achieved, to be honest.
Yeah, no. I like some of these opinions, and I've been thinking generally about what does it mean to be a new designer today, especially considering what you were saying. I think that's an amazing conversation to have, which is like, do they have to do part selling, or can they come straight from, you know, school and all of these other things? Like, because with Maximilian at Ferragamo, he didn't have a track record of selling before they brought him on.
Not really. He barely even did anything. Not like he didn't do anything, but
Yeah.
he interned with Morolola. He had his own brand. He was part of Fashion East. He did Fashion East for a few seasons. Funny enough, when he was hired Ferragamo, he was actually part of the LVMH prize. So I think at that point in time, he was a semi-finalist. Do you remember? And he had to pull out of the LVMH prize because he was appointed as the CD of Ferragamo. So very, very interesting.
Yeah, like, and I'm just looking at all of the classes of people that were part of the LVMH prizes in the past 3-4 years. And out of his class, he's the last one to really come straight out of school, go to a brand, and then that's it. Like, unless we can name another. Like, does that actually happen anymore?
It's rare. It's really rare. I don't know. It's amazing for him. I'm really curious to know what they saw in him because it's so rare. Like, it really doesn't happen.
Yeah.
At least not now. It used to happen back in the day, you know, like John Galliano was in school. His graduate collection was so big that everyone was whispering. Then all of a sudden, like Anna Wintour is whispering to Bernard Arnault, you know, then you have all these things, people investing in his eponymous label. He goes to Givenchy, eventually goes to Dior, all that sort of stuff. So realistically, is this a different time? People just don't take risks in young designers like that. So it's really amazing, actually. It's quite beautiful that they took that much risk in Maximilian.
Exactly.
And they had faith in him like that. Yeah, there was a lot that happened in between, but it's like, so a lot of designers, when I think of like even way before John Galliano's time, right? A lot of designers were very much like, a lot happened, but they didn't have to run their own brand. So if you think of like people like, you can think of so many people, even people like Yves Saint Laurent or Cristobal Balenciaga, even if you want to go back. Cristobal Balenciaga didn't run his own brand, but Cristobal Balenciaga worked in like tailoring establishments, multiple actually. He used to make his own clothes. He used to make clothes for one of his big patrons that he lived near, actually, that his mother used to work for. He used to make clothes for her. I remember he famously copied a Paul Poiret dress for her, and that's when she like started supporting him. She was like, "There's no way you can copy this dress." So it was more just these designers had showed so much skill over the years that they didn't really need to have this like crazy resume that designers need now, because it's just like, we know you're skilled. Like everyone respects you at this point. Get an investor. That's kind of how it was back then.
And he was grinding and sleeping on couches. They weren't allowed, but that's almost 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of graduations that have happened. Oh, hello,
Yeah.
Panda. There's a lot of
Demna is perfect for Gucci. The brand needs electroshock therapy. It just needs to switch it up to Lux, not homeless chic. But that's the thing, though. So Pierre, what we're debating is, does he have that in the locker when he's been doing this like post irony thing for so long that has really gotten stale? Does he have the Lux in his locker anymore? Is that something that he possesses?
That's interesting to put it that way. I think he possesses it. It might be rusty. I wouldn't say like someone of his caliber, I wouldn't put it past him at all. Like there's just certain people that I don't bet against, right? Matthew Blaise, Hugh Anderson, Demna Vesalia, like who else? That's Hugh Anderson. Yeah. Because he's great. He's that great. Kim Jones.
It's not like I'm betting against him. Like I've said it like so many times. We know he's skilled. It's just, bro, I've seen, like, I review the Balenciaga collections. The man literally has no ideas when it comes to Balenciaga. Like literally, like he's just in cruise mode right now at Balenciaga. So it's just like, can he snap out of that at Gucci? Like, can he just completely snap out of that? That's what I'm questioning. Not that he doesn't possess the ability to do that. He definitely has the ability, but can he like philosophically snap out of that?
Do you know what's interesting for me? I was thinking about the last class of people, and that is Jacques Mus, Lemaire, Samuel Ross, and then there's the other tier of like Tebe Magugu and all of them other guys, and none of them went to another house.
Who did you mention?
Lemaire, Jacques Mus, Samuel Ross, Tebe Magugu.
Okay, true.
Yeah.
Although I don't think like that's a bit of a mix. I think Jacques Mus and Lemaire, yes, because the reason why it's more valid to use them is because their brands are like really huge, like extremely huge, especially Jacques.
No, but Lemaire's been around for a long time, and that's why he worked for Hermes.
Yeah. Lacoste.
And Lacoste, yeah. So yeah, I don't know why people. Someone put Samuel Ross and laughing emojis.
Yeah, so I don't think they're the same because the Lemaire did. Yeah. Who else did you mention?
Tebe Magugu. I mentioned Tebe.
Okay, yeah. Tebe hasn't necessarily worked at any house, but he's had collaborations with the likes of like Dior and stuff. He even had a collaboration with Valentino too. Yeah,
my question is like some of the biggest heavy hitters, maybe not of our generation, but like of our recent memory. And yeah, they haven't participated. Of course, I understand why Jacques Mus wouldn't when he's almost touching a B. But yeah, because we were talking about just leaving university, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And then even having a brand to like just leapfrog. Yeah, like I understand that Tebe is an educator.
Caveat: the Jacques Mus case study is not the easiest case study because there are multiple factors as to why like he's successful. One is like really good marketing. Two is just how he looks. Like there's so many factors into it. So it's like not everyone can tap into that per se. Bro. Which is why so many talented designers have all closed down.
Bro, I found out he was 33. I felt my hairline recede.
Oh my God.
What? This guy is like B at 33 is wilding to me, bro. I think it's even 32 still.
Although the whole B thing is slowing down. So there was a time when they were saying he's on a trajectory to make like 400 mil and like he was gonna
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
eventually, like his goal was 1 billion. But actually, I think the growth really slowed down. But obviously, with the investment,
It's
the
35
recent
bro.
investment that he got, he's gonna get there.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
is.
yeah. But like getting to a B is it's like more structural of your business than like the way it grows. Because like if you're
Which
not
is why with the investment now that is
exactly,
going to
yeah.
happen.
1990. Yeah, no, for sure. I understand every single thing of what you said about the way, yeah. When you say there's particular reasons why, of course, I understand.
Yeah, people
But
are saying Kiko Kostanov. Is Kiko
no,
Kostanov like? I'm a big fan of Kiko, but is he a big enough name to
Kiko,
save? Well,
Balenciaga.
obviously he's not. He's not going to go to Gucci, but like even for Balenciaga, I don't really think so.
I think the era of people using their brands to leapfrog or even using the brand that they're working for to supercharge their own brand is over.
Really.
Yeah.
So how do you think moving forward people are going to hire? Are we just going to see the top designers only stay at the top brands and no one new coming in?
Well, I think we've partially had this conversation, and
Yeah, we did.
slightly yes, but also I think it's a case of the major luxury houses buying brands.
Also, luxury being its biggest enemy,
Well,
right? Because when you think of the luxury system,
yeah.
because everything is about growth and growth and growth and growth. Earlier on, there was more scope to take a chance with a designer because you're not playing with like 7 billion, 9 billion
Mhm.
in revenue. You're maybe playing with 500 million, 700 million. So it was easier to take risk because you could take risk and still make more money. But now that they've marketed all over the world, marketed to all these consumers, it's so much harder to squeeze that extra revenue every quarter now because they've just maximized so many markets. And so now the stage that they're in, they're kind of forced into only working with the biggest names, only working with the biggest designers.
Yeah, no, that's real. And like biggest names doesn't even just necessarily mean designers, even though I know that's not what you meant and
Yeah.
you're including that, but also people who have their own, like have their massive social media following and also design well and also sell a lot. It's like you have to be like amazing in these three categories to even be considered now. And like, if I'm gonna be totally honest, and I love Pharrell, but he didn't have any of those three categories.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be so honest. And I love Pharrell, but
Same.
he don't exist in those categories for real. But he has such a synonymous brand that he, got the keys to the biggest car in a luxury conglomerate.
And
So
it's
yeah,
working because people are buying his clothes.
tis,
Like
tis.
the millionaire bags actually sold.
Bro, let's be we're always gonna sell, weren't they though?
Like, but it's crazy because they literally cost 1 million and they still sold.
Yeah,
Like
the
that's
millionaire bags were as wild. Those were
that's
wild.
the kind
Like,
of pull he has. It's insane.
was it 18 karat gold, 24 karat gold? What's it? Something crazy, bro.
Yeah, it's 24 carat
Yeah.
hardware. Yeah.
Do you think Donatello?
Do you think Donatello Versace is stepping now says anything about products like this? Oh, they've already
They
bought
bought it.
Versace.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've already purchased it. Yeah, that's already happened.
Yeah. So you are right on your guess. It's just that it
Yeah,
happened already. Yeah. So I do believe that there is like consolidation. That is the best way. Like mergers and acquisitions is going to be a heavy part, which is also a major reason for you
yeah,
to have stable CEOs. Like, and for a lot of the people out here with £3 million businesses and £8 million businesses and £22 million businesses to actually structure their businesses properly so they look primed to be bought. Because if you get a 4x multiplier and you get to retain some level of ownership and they have a track for your brand to become a heritage brand, like a lot of
yeah,
people will take that deal. Like imagine getting 40 M's, or not, let's not say 40 M's, but let's say your business is like worth 8 M's, and then they use a 4.5x multiplier on you, and then you get, let's say, 15, 20, and then you still retain, let's say, 40% ownership, and you've got a track to open more stores. You're gonna be, that news that LVMH bought you or Karen bought you, is you're on a different stratosphere.
yeah. It's insane. The kid said, "So is this what you want for Gucci? This nonsense? We're currently watching Jesus God." First of all, I do not want to see Demna's postmodern, like post irony.
Postmodern.
Yeah, this is post irony, definitely not
Irony
postmodern.
is hilarious to me.
But, I don't want to see any of that Gucci. Like I've been saying that since. So yeah, I don't want to see that. I have like fatigue from all of that stuff.
Yay, more people on the Discord.
Yeah.
What's it? Am I happy Balenciaga can move on from streetwear? I don't know whether I hated in quotes the streetwear. I believe that streetwear was the state of fashion at a time, and we have moved on for it. So I I can't wait for some, some box-toed loafers, but
Yeah.
I've got those already. So like, it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, we're gonna see a lot different silhouettes, but I don't want Balenciaga to be any less toned down, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't want there to be less of for it to be muted and its voice to like fall to the wayside because Demna's not there anymore.
Which would be a shame, to be honest.
Yeah, because I
That would
think
be a
that
shame.
like Balenciaga is important, like to the sphere of fashion and to what we talk about, like, or at least it has been for me. Like since I've been talking about fashion, like Balenciaga has been super, super relevant. Like quite literally, I found a voice note of me 10 years ago talk about Balenciaga, a 20-minute voice note.
Balenciaga was always relevant, even before Demna.
Yeah, before
Oh,
Demna.
we've talked about this, like
Why?
Balenciaga arenas, Balenciaga runners. Like people have been wearing Balenciaga forever. Like I mean, if you think of Nicolas Gasquier's time, like the bags, people wearing the bags like crazy. So, bro, it's always been relevant.
I just want to say shout out to Shaw Studio for a time because they were really holding it down for me in fashion media pre 2015. I watched everything on Shaw Studio them times. But yeah, no, like Balenciaga's been mad relevant. And so has Gucci, but Balenciaga's been very relevant. And the back office made some really good moves, and getting Demna was one of their best moves.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, Show Studio was goated, but Lou Stoppard. Oof.
Ooh.
Oh, those were. Do you know what it is? It's because like Lou Stoppard is the perfect host because obviously she's knowledgeable, but she allows guests to have a conversation. She doesn't like take over the conversation, and because she invited such good guests, like it would always make for a really, really good conversation. She's just like a very, very good host. I'm a big fan of hers. I've interviewed her for her book that she wrote because I worked on the press run for the Chloe book that she wrote, which was interesting. I even interviewed her for Thames and Hudson, which was fun. But even then, you can see that like the way her brain works is amazing.
No, that's Lou Stopper was a piece. Her sarcasm, she was super funny. She was super like she was just like going in, like being able to carry conversations, move conversations along, and also not talk and let the other people talk as well, which is an underrated skill in interviews today because some people think like they can put a mic in front of themselves and just talk.
Yeah, I mean, even when people maybe didn't have that much to say, because she's such a good host, she'll still make it. Like I remember, what was it? Was it a Ras Simmons show that like Ian Connor was there and stuff?
Oh yeah,
he was waffling a bit, but like the way she hosted it so perfectly, you wouldn't realize he was waffling.
Yeah. What does this black kid think he can say about fashion?
That's hilarious.
Yo, only the OGs are gonna remember that one.
Mima Viglitio also added like a good touch because Mima Viglitio is like more on like the business side behind the scenes. So she could always add that like, that industry wide like facts and figures side to the conversation. That was always amazing because she's just like seasoned, like loads of experience working in the industry. But I like Mima. Mima's cool.
Mima was my favorite. I can't lie. Like Lou Stopper was the best, but Mima was my favorite, if that made sense. Like one, I loved her accent. Two, I just liked her
accent was cold, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I just like the things that she spoke about outside of the panel conversations. Like, so whatever media that she put out there, I actually just listened to.
Yeah, facts.
These people really ushered me into coming into fashion media and having conversations, even though I don't have none of the degrees these guys have. Shout out to you guys.
Mima is just charming to me. Yeah, she is. She does have like a charming element to her. That is true.
Very charismatic. For sure, Ski.
All these rappers wearing Gucci is gonna throw me off. Don't they already all wear Gucci though?
Bro, I can't wait for Demna to not use the monogram. or use it in like interesting ways.
I feel like he's just gonna use it in interesting ways. Although he does like a logo. Like if you go back to the Vatmon days, like
He
he loves the
does.
logo. He loves a
Inflate.
slogan. He loves a logo. He loves a lot of those things.
Yeah, he likes branding a lot. Like if he can like make it in big letters, he will do that. Like him and JW Anderson love inflating and shrinking things. Like that's like something that they both share as like designers. And yeah, like even what's it? Was it the Bernie Sanders Balenciaga scarf? Which show
Yeah,
was that?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
was one of these
I
shows,
think
wasn't
I
it?
think that was like Fall into 17. I think. Wait,
Yeah,
let me
that
cross check
was
1 second.
time
1 second. Yeah,
away.
it was Fall into
That was
17.
2016.
The way. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that was when I was doing fashion illustrations as well. That was an interesting time.
Wait, this is hilarious. I thought Gucci Mane owned the brand when I was a kid. I was crushed when I learned.
That's funny.
If Gucci Mane owned Gucci, he would be a multi billionaire. Like,
Yeah, fam. Gucci putting Gucci Mane in a campaign was even like that should have.
yeah, that was the campaign that ASAP Rocky was in, and like all those guys. I remember that.
I'm gonna be real. The writing should have been
Yeah,
on the wall then.
that campaign was cool. Those were the Alessandro Michele like maximalist campaigns where they're like in a pool and they're all wearing like fur
Fam,
and like horsebit loafers and stuff. It was really cool.
Great Gatsby era type is.
Facts. This YouTube channel runs on your support. If you want to support the channel, you can subscribe to my Patreon. You'll gain access to exclusive content that includes everything from my Patreon podcast, where I give a behind the scenes insight into the fashion industry, as well as a fashion book club where I review my favorite fashion books. You can also check out my fashion ebook, which highlights the best fashion journalists to follow, definitions of common fashion terminology, and how to determine what a good source of fashion information is. The links to everything are in the description below.